The town of Plainville. Established in 1721 at the geographical center of Connecticut.
Okay, we'll begin. It's a minute or two after 7. Welcome to our regular Plainville Town Council meeting. Today is Monday, March 15th, 2021 at 7 p.m. I will ask Councilperson Tompkins to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, if you'll all join us.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we begin this evening, I would ask that we take a moment of silence to honor and recognize the passing of our police chief, Matthew Catania. So if you'll please take a moment. Thank you. As we all know, this has been a very hard week for Plainville and for the family of Matthew Catania. This is our first meeting since we learned last Wednesday that he had passed due to some complications of a rigorous surgery. I do want to acknowledge that and thank Robert Lee for creating a very heartfelt post this past week, speaking to Matt's strengths and his strength of character and all of the great qualities that he brought to our town as our police chief and as a very special person. I just want to acknowledge that he was I considered him a close friend of mine over the years that I grew to know him. He was somebody I could always go to with questions. He was a wonderful mentor. He loved Plainville, and he loved the job that he did here. And so in honor of that memory, I just want to acknowledge that he will be missed personally by me as a very close friend. And as a police chief that the town of Plainville has had the honor of having him in our community, he will certainly be missed for many years to come. So I welcome council members if you'd like to just say a couple of words in recognition of Matthew Catania.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
Matt, I think, was the best hire that this town has ever done, and that's not diminishing anyone else that was hired for the town of Plainville, but he really lifted us up and changed his department and did such good things for this town that I have the utmost respect for him, and he's definitely going to be missed greatly.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Rosemary.
I think the 11 years that we had Matt Catania as our police chief here in Plainville were truly a gift. He was just outstanding in so many ways. His experience, his knowledge, his integrity, and he was a people person. Mm-hmm. You know, with all that, he was just an incredible combination of qualities that made him such a great chief, and we are just all going to miss him so much.
Thanks, Rosemary.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Nazo.
Matt was an exceptional leader and an even better human being, and just a tremendous loss for Plainville.
Indeed.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Underwood.
I had the honor of standing with Matt outside Town Hall one summer day waiting for a motorcade to come by in support of the police department. We spent at least a half an hour talking about family. I mean, he had so much compassion and love for the town, love for his family. He was just an amazing man.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair,
Mr. Wazarko.
just like everyone else has mentioned, I mean, he was a tremendous chief for the town of Plainville. Public safety was his number one priority, communication. But I think what I'll remember him for is, as much as he was a great chief, he was even better family man. And that was really where his heart was with family. And I think he tried to bring that sense of family to Plainville. And I certainly believe he accomplished that. So, condolences to his family, friends, to all of us in Plainville that we'll miss him. He was, we're a better town because of him. That's for sure.
Thank you for that.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Rocco.
So unfortunately, I think out of everybody here, I have the shortest experience with Chief Catania, which, to my regret, is quite unfortunate. I will say this about him. He was a individual that left a distinctive mark in your mind when you spoke with him. He was somebody that came across to me as a man who had a solid moral compass. He was a man of conviction. He was very fair. And most importantly of all, he was quite pleasant to talk to. In the short time that I had with him, none of my experience with him were negative. He was a straight shooter and somebody who spoke his mind, whether it was negative criticism of something, I think Town Manager Lee mentioned, he was somebody who said we could have done something better. That is an admirable quality, one that should be admired by everybody. And my only regret is that I didn't get to work with him longer. It is a great loss to our community, and he will be missed. So with that being said, may he rest in peace, and we are a better community for having had him.
Thank you. Thank you all. He certainly touched everybody, and in addition to being a great community, he had an amazing sense of humor. As we all know, he could defuse situations pretty quickly, and I've seen him turn some people who were pretty angry, and in a moment, they were smiling and saying to him, "Oh, I feel better now." So I think that's a quality and a skill not everybody has, but he certainly demonstrated it in my presence a number of times, and for that he will be continuously missed. Robert, did you have anything you wanted to add in terms of Matt? I know you and he were good, close personal friends as well.
Well, I know, I certainly ditto everything that's been said with regards to Chief Catania. I spent a lot of time with him, and I'm going to miss his advice that he gave. And I do recall that there were many times over the decade that we were together, and we would go out and meet people in the street to talk about problems. We'd go out to their neighborhoods and gather, and the people, the residents of Plainville really reacted very positively to Matt, and less to me and certainly more to him, and it was very clear in some of the remarks that have been made since his passing, how much, he was universally liked in Plainville. And, that's hard to say nowadays, as it relates to, being in government or, especially being a police officer. But I think that he rose way above that. And I think we were certainly one of the towns that were fortunate to have such a fine police chief. And we're going to be big shoes to fill.
Thank you. Thank you all for your kind words. His family, I'm sure, will certainly take those to heart, and he will be remembered, never forgotten, always remembered. So I do appreciate your time to take for that. So moving on in our agenda, we have a presentation this evening for a Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for Cal Halberger. Robert, would you like to say a few words before I present?
Yes. I'm going to read from the letter we received because I think it's a very good description of this award. And the GFOA, which stands for Government Finance Officers Association, announced that the town of Plainville, Connecticut, has received the GFOA's Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for our budget. The award represents a significant achievement by the town. It reflects the commitment of the governing body and staff to meeting the highest principles of governmental budgeting. In order to receive the budget award, the entity has to satisfy nationally recognized guidelines for effective budget presentation. These guidelines are designed to assess how well an entity's budget serves to a policy document, a financial plan, an operations guide, and a communications device. Budget documents must be rated proficient in all 4 categories that I mentioned, and in 14 mandatory criteria within the categories to receive the award. When the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award is granted to an entity, a certificate of recognition for budget presentation is also presented to the individual designated as being primarily responsible for having achieved the award. And this has been presented by GFOA to Calvin Halberger, who's our Economic Development and Special Projects Coordinator. I would like to say that, Cal, stepped up to the plate when Scott left us and Rob was having some difficulties last year and really helped us putting the budget together and followed through with making sure that everything was in its right place to put us in a position to win this award. We've been relatively fortunate in getting this every year, but there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into it, a tremendous amount of attention to detail, and Cal achieved that for us, and for that I'm very much appreciative, and I know that the town council and others as well. So.
Great, thank you. So Cal, I have a certificate here for you, which I'll read. Typically, I meet people at the podium, but we have all these restrictions, but I'll come down and hand it over to you. All right, so this is from GFOA, presents this certificate of recognition for budget preparation to Cal Halberger, Economic Development and Special Projects Coordinator, Town of Plainville, Connecticut. It goes on to say, this certificate of recognition for budget preparation is presented by the Government Finance Officers Association to those individuals who have been instrumental in their government unit achieving a Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. The Distinguished Budget Presentation Award, which is the highest award in governmental budgeting, is presented to those government units whose budgets are judged to adhere to program standards, and it is signed by the Executive Director, Christopher P. Morrill, and it's dated January 19th, 2021. So congratulations to you. That is certainly a wonderful award, and I can say we are most appreciative of you helping us out during a time of staff change and things that are going on, and certainly you did a fabulous job, as this attests to. So I'm just going to come down around here and present it to you. Okay, back to our agenda. We do not have a public hearing this evening. The next item is approval of the minutes of a previous meeting. May I have a motion to approve, please?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
motion to approve the minutes from March 1st, 2021 regular meeting, March 4th, 2021 public hearing, March 8th, 9th, and 10th, 2021 budget special meetings.
Second that motion, Madam Chair.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any additions or corrections to any of those minutes? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Announcements and reports. Do we have any announcements or reports tonight? We've been all very busy with lots of things. Okay. Appointments and resignations. We have one resignation.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
motion to accept with regret the resignation of Robert Zerpolo from the Aviation Commission.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Robert, can we provide a letter of thanks to Mr. Zerpolo for his service? I think he's been on there quite some time.
Yes, I think he could be one of the original members.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Okay,
He moved out of town, so that was a reason.
great. Yeah, that would be nice if we could send him a letter of thanks from the council. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Appointments and reappointments. Do we have any other appointments or reappointments tonight? I think there's some in our list that perhaps we can take care of at our next meeting that are due. So if we can, between now and the next meeting, take a look at that, we can take care of them as well. Board of Education, nobody's here for that. Kevin, you're not doing the board, are you? Oh, okay. I thought I'd ask. All right, report of the town attorney, Attorney Mastriani. Good evening.
Good evening. Is this one on or at the? There we go.
It's on.
Good evening. Believe it or not, I do have something for the council
Okay.
tonight. You mind if I take this down for a second?
Not at all.
Okay. Many of you are aware that Big Steve's Grill uptown has recently closed, and they're investigating a new site on Woodford Avenue for relocation. The landlord has, I guess, is looking for a considerable amount of money, primarily for the purchase of the almost new equipment that's currently there that was left there by a previous tenant. Steve has asked the EDA for $10,000 in the form of a forgivable loan. The agreement would be that the EDA would give back or give him the $10,000 which he's seeking, and it would be forgivable if he continues to operate the business in Plainville for at least 2 years from the date of the loan. So if he were to close his business for any reason during the first year, then he would be required to pay back the full $10,000. If he would if he were required to close his business during the second year, then he would be required to pay back 50% of the loan, or $5,000. So we would ask that he be required to execute an agreement, a demand note to the town, as well as a UCC financing statement, which would be basically a security interest on the restaurant equipment that he's going to purchase with this money. And that would be obviously forgiven if he stays in town for at least 2 years from the anniversary date of the loan. We're requesting permission to proceed with the agreement. I'm told that time is of the essence. I guess he has a appointment with the landlord on Thursday, so he'd like to get a commitment from the town before he meets with the landlord to be able to confirm and shore up his agreement with the landlord.
So, Robert, is there, Robert and Mike, is there a motion, or do you just need an okay from the council to proceed, or what are the next steps?
Well, I would ask that Mike to, whatever he feels comfortable with as he's drafting the agreement, if he could add it to the agenda and take action under new business, just to say that he authorized the town attorney and the town manager to enter into this.
I would agree with that. I think we do need action by the town council.
We have reviewed this with the Economic Development Agency. They haven't met, but we shared the situation. The members that responded said that they were in favor. They're probably going to make an adjustment to their policy that would go through the end of this year for perhaps other businesses in similar situations to be able to take advantage of this also. For Plainville businesses that are struggling, that are going out of business, that this, if this helps them, continue. We have sufficient funds in the economic development loan program. We began giving grants way back when, and for a while they went to loans because it was a demand. And so this would be a small, it's an opportunity to keep a business that's been in place for over a decade to stay in town, and things are looking pretty positive as far as that's concerned. So, we're, I'm recommending it as well as the town manager. I've had some conversations with Steve and Big Steve's, and certainly
Okay.
it's another business. So.
Okay. Well, thank you for reviewing that for us. And I would like to ask for a motion to add under new business, a motion to approve the agreement between Big Steve and the Town of Plainville Economic Development. Is that sufficient?
Yeah, for a forgivable loan,
Yep.
in the amount of $10,000.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to add to the agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great, we're all set. When we get to that, we'll take care of that. Thank you, Attorney Mastriani, for helping us out. Okay, we are now at the report of the town manager. Mr. Lee?
Yes, I have several items for this evening. The first is data storage for the police department and the town and schools. The fiscal year 21 capital improvement plan included $100,000 for the police department for data storage and $80,000 for data storage for the town and schools, basically $40,000 apiece. The IT department is recommending that the town council approve the purchase of the data storage for the police department from Storage Networks of Westford, Massachusetts, in the amount of $52,940. The IT department is also recommending that the town council approve the purchase of the data storage for the town and schools from Storage Networks of Westford, Massachusetts, in the amount of $47,875. Both recommendations are included under new business for your consideration this evening. IT Director Kevin Ross is participating in this meeting to give a summary of the equipment and the reasons for his recommendation, and I concur with his recommendation. So with your permission,
Yep.
turn it over to Kevin.
All right, so thank you for having me. First, we're going to talk about the police network. This is to replace the police cluster, which is their whole server. There's 2 servers and a storage array, so it's 3 devices. We put this in over 5 years ago. It runs all of their systems except for one, their CAD system that they put in a couple years ago. Unfortunately, the system is not able to handle that system at this time. So the current cluster, like I said, is 2 servers. It has a Dell storage array. It has a network switch. They're all 1 gigabit. And then it's called spinning drives, 10,000 RPM. They're not solid state. They're like old-fashioned hard drives. And like I said, we have to run a standalone server to run their CAD system because the cluster, in the eyes of the company, is not fast enough to handle it. So our recommendation is we're still sticking with Dell servers, but we're looking at what's called an integrated storage. We're doing what's called a hyper-converged system. This is kind of where things are going. It's a little less complex to have to run. The 2 servers are connected to each other at 25 gigabits, and they'll have 10 gigabit networking back. And the system is completely solid state, so all the servers are running solid state drives. So a little history about this project. We started this in January of 2020. We were working with Dell. Unfortunately, Dell purchased EMC a few years ago, and along with that, it's a company called VMware, and that's the big boy brother of what's called hypervisors that allows us to take 2 physical boxes to run multiple servers. Right? We run right now. There's 12 virtual servers running on 2 physical hardware servers. With the purchase of Dell purchasing EMC, they really were pushing us towards switching everything, and there would be substantial cost. And the first quotes came in, over $110,000 for just the police project, and they were showing these ridiculous discounts, and we were still at $110,000. And I literally laughed at her on the phone, and I said, it's a public record. You know how much we have available. You went over it. Well, we can start working our way down. Well, COVID hit, and this thing got mothballed. And at the same time, Dan Demers, who's the network manager, and I were talking, and we've been using Microsoft's Hyper-V, which is another platform for virtualization. And it's included with the operating systems that you buy, right? So you would need the licensing from Microsoft on top of VMware. We said, why are we doing this? We already know our system is in place, works. We want to just upgrade it in this whole system. So we decided we are not changing, and we asked Dell to work with us in that sense. So I say 2 options, but I listed 3 because I wanted to list their other system just to give you an idea. That was in January. That 98,000, that's where they came down. We got them down to $98,000 on the VX Rail system, which is a VMware. But the 2 systems that were listed are the next 2 options, and they're Dell's Unity Hybrid SAN for $42,000, and then the Dell Unity All Flash SAN. A hybrid is just basically a mixture of solid state and spinning disks. So you can see there's not a big difference in cost. So we would have gone with the option 3 if we went with this. The other part of it is 2 servers, new networking equipment for $32,000. So the total hardware cost from Dell would have been $76,000. Plus we have $11,000 in upgrade licenses for the OS. That's regardless of who we go with. We need to buy enough licensing. So the recommendation, we started working with this company called Storage Networks, and Andrew from this company, who I've been working with since this project, gave us lots of options, and he steered us towards StarWinds. And StarWinds basically takes Dell hardware, which we've been very happy with, the server hardware, and basically packages their system inside of it. So we get the warranty from Dell. Any of the hardware issues, we get all the same that we've had. They cover it. But then StarWinds, their basically software, allows these 2 servers to work as one. And they monitor the hardware remotely. So any problems happen, they'll let us know. That's part of it. But we're increasing the storage from about 9 terabytes right now to 21 terabytes, allowing us for some space for growing evidence. Video and photo evidence is growing fast in the new CAD system. So those are where we're using that storage. Included, there's 5 years of monitoring of the hardware, and the cost for the combined system is $52,940. On top of that, with the $11,000 for licensing, the project comes in at $63,940. So we're substantially under budget of the $100,000 that we had originally started at. So my recommendation is to move forward with this purchase here. Reasons why we'd like to move forward too is, Storage Networks has been, a good product. Again, I like that the fact that he had many options. It wasn't just their brand. They were giving us, and his experience with multiple options really gave us some insight. We get the multi-tiered support with StarWinds because we have Dell. We have the company that's kind of reselling it through Andrew, and then Andrew's support on the back end when we need to. The good thing is there's not a lot of cost for implementation because Dan and our IT staff, I take this serious that we handle as much as we can. You don't hire us and pay us to do our work and then us hire us charge someone else to do this. There's a lot of IT departments that, bring in people to do this and bring in people to do that. We do here and there, but we do tend to do a lot of it on our own. We actually get a lot of accolades from companies that come in and say, this is really easy to work with you because you know what you're doing. So I do take that, serious. But there are times when we need to know, we don't do this often, so having access to him. But there's a relatively small amount in that quote for his support, which is nice. So one of the other things is there's only 2 resellers listed for StarWinds in the United States. He's not one of them, but he's sold this product multiple times, and they're in Massachusetts, so it's not like they're pretty close. So he can get down here if need be if he wanted to. So most of it would probably be a remote install, but those are some of the reasons we want to go with Storage Networks. So that's for the police department. Any questions?
Kevin, so this is a lot of new stuff that we're doing. How long will this now be effective? I know that technology changes like by the hour, if not quicker than that. So how long do you feel that we can be okay with what you're providing us?
So this infrastructure, we try to replace every 5 years because it runs 24/7 every day. Mm-hmm. It's constantly on. So it's that's the warranty that they'll usually give you, is about 5 years. You can continue to buy extended, but at that point, it starts to get the cost of the extension warranties start going up, and you can start putting it towards new equipment. So what we're doing and usually do with all these systems is we'll put this system in place. They'll be both running at the same time, and we can, what's beautiful about a virtualized environment, we'll be able to move those servers while they're running into the new storage. The people using it won't even know it happened. It'll just happen. And once that's done, we'll shut down the other system. We'll repurpose it. So we have another system running at another building, which we replicate all the data. So all of the server, everything that's happening is being copied over to another building. If there was something happened over here, we would be able to turn those servers on. So we basically will take the old cluster, and move it into the replication role that we have already older equipment that we've kind of repurposed from the schools actually to make that work. And so that's kind of how we do it. So you probably get 10 years out of the equipment, but we try to do it in every 5-year rotation, moving it down the tier. And then we also are, with that, we have a backup solution that we're continuing to evolve to make sure, because as things change with ransomware and crypto types of things, we're trying to make sure we have multiple backups in different locations at the same time to protect that data. So.
Okay, thank you.
We're looking at consolidating even more. This is more the town stuff as we go forward as well. So it's crazy to think that we'll have probably 6 servers technically running everything in the whole district, where I used to have like 20 physical boxes or more. So,
Okay,
so that's the police department. The school in town, we are kind of in what's called a tick-tock purchase. We purchased the servers 1 year, and we've been purchasing the storage another. This is our first replacement of storage. So it's been 5 years since we purchased, over 5 now, the previous storage array. We purchased the servers a few years ago. When we started this, reason we're going to come in low again here under budget is I really want to see, I actually may move the schools in town to the same system as the police when the time comes. So we may be looking at that down the road, to be honest, because I think it's really the best way to go. So this is a storage array. Our needs are not huge. We're not growing a ton of storage. We do need to add here and there, especially because of backups and things. But our growth is not exponentially high. We use a lot of online storage, especially in the schools with Google. So that's been very helpful to offset. But we still have cameras, and we still have other systems that are building our data storage needs. But the storage that we have, it's not, doesn't need to be the highest enterprise. It doesn't need to go out the, petabytes and stuff like that. So we looked at a bunch of products, and Andrew gave us a bunch, but we'll also look at what Dell's offered us as well. So currently we have a Dell EqualLogic SAN with 20 terabytes of spinning disk storage. We do have 10 gig of networking. The product line, the EqualLogic product line, which is also what the police has been discontinued. They've moved on. The management interface is a Java program, so it's more difficult to get into as they've evolved. We actually have an older computer we're now keeping to get into that, and it's, again, over 5 years old. So we looked at multiple solutions, 2 from Dell and 2 from HP through the first one's from Dell directly, and they had a product called PowerStore. This is an all-flash solution that came in, it's the lowest priced actually at $42,950, but it only had 11 terabytes of storage. Their big push with this PowerStore is that there's what's called compression. They think that every gigabyte you can get 3 on their system. A little nervous, because then if we are short, then we're short. So that's one of the options we had. And then there's the hybrid storage at 30 terabytes, 4 of it being flash, the rest being spinning disk. And then we have 2 products from HP sold through network storage. Or storage networks is the Nimble system at 23 terabytes. And then there's the one that we're recommending is the MSA, which is their basic system, which is perfect for what we need. Comes with 38 terabytes of all flash storage. The numbers come in because of the different modules that you populated, so you can't get to exact numbers sometimes. So that gives us 38 terabytes of raw storage. So these are the reasons we're looking. The same, storage networks is regional. We've been great to work with. They gave us other options as well to look at, but we felt that these two were the strongest that fit into our current infrastructure as well. So I think some of the documents you guys have are actually here, and if you hadn't looked, there's a link, bit.ly, Plainville servers 21, where it has all of the actual quotes, breakdown in a spreadsheet of all of this too, if you had any more information, any more questions you wanted to look at. So those are the two units that we're looking at.
Okay.
All right. Any
Thanks,
questions?
Kevin. Yep. Does anybody have any questions for Kevin of all this information, that most of which I am not going to be able to talk about, but, I'm sure it's well thought out plan for the town and the police department. So are there any questions or comments about Kevin's presentation? Fabulous job.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. All right.
Next item I have is the road paving bid. Town staff is recommending that the town council authorize the rental of construction equipment and the operators for pavement milling to Garrity Construction of Bloomfield, Connecticut, at the same hourly rates that they have billed the town for the last 4 construction seasons. Total amount of the authorization shall not exceed $125,000. There is an item under new business regarding this recommendation. Garrity has done a good job for the town over the years, and they very well coordinate with the roadways department as well, and scheduling is certainly important. They do prioritize us, and they do a good job, and so the recommendation is to stay with them, but, they're going to hold their prices that, the council approved, 4 years ago in terms of this type of service.
Okay.
Next item I have is the robotic survey equipment. The fiscal year 21 capital improvement plan included $25,000 for the purchase of a robotic survey equipment for the technical services department. Town staff is recommending that the town council authorize the purchase of a robotic total station, the data collector, and accessories from Superior Products Distributors, Inc. of Milldale, Connecticut, utilizing state bid contract, and that would be for the amount of $22,425.83. This came from John Bossie, who's the town engineer, and I think that's the reason why we got the 83 cents in there, but anyhow. There is an item under new business regarding this recommendation, and this certainly will allow the technical services department to continue to do a lot of layout work for the projects road work that we do, including some of the state monies we received, as well as other survey work, by utilizing just one person. And the robotic station does a lot of the GPS locations, a lot of the detail work is done by a computer now instead of the old-fashioned way, by and large. So this would be a great improvement to that department. This is something that had been requested for many years, and we did get it on the current year's capital improvement project plan, and it is coming in slightly under budget as well. Next item I have is the COVID-19 update, and also a vaccine clinic. The town is working with Hartford Healthcare and will hold a COVID-19 vaccination clinic for Plainville residents on Friday, April 2nd. The vaccination clinic will be held at the firehouse. The town has partnered with Hartford Healthcare, who will be providing 100 first doses of the Moderna vaccine. The clinic for the second dose will take place at the firehouse as well on Friday, April 30th. Those who receive the first dose will automatically be signed up for the second dose as well. Residents must register for appointments in advance. Town residents will have the opportunity to begin registering for the clinic beginning Wednesday, March 24th, between the hours of 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. When calling, residents must have their insurance card available, if they have one, and an email address. Those who do not have insurance will receive the vaccine at no cost. It is expected that the phones will be very busy the day of registration, and town staff is requesting that residents be patient when calling. Information on the clinic, including the phone number for the registration, will be posted on the town website and announced on social media beginning this Friday. I want to thank Hartford Healthcare for providing the staff and the vaccines for this clinic. Additionally, the state launched a new program today where seniors and others that cannot travel to a vaccination clinic can register to have the COVID-19 vaccine administered at their home. Seniors and others who are shut in can register for the vaccine to be delivered to their home by calling the Plainville Southington Health District at 860-793-3419 or 860-276-6275. Also received notice that this afternoon, I guess the governor announced that people 45 years or older will be able to begin scheduling their vaccine appointments later this month. Not, and that those 16 and older will be able to begin registering sometime towards the, first several weeks of April. So more information will come out about that, and we just hope there's enough vaccines to go around. I know that there are, the state and the federal government are receiving more. More is coming into the state. In conversations with Hartford Healthcare, they've indicated that they could provide more vaccinations if they had more vaccines. So, they have excess capacity to deliver once they receive the supply, and that seems to be ramping up a little bit. So we're very happy to be able to, at least start to do some for Plainville residents only, and I think it'll go relatively quick, but I think, being able to provide this in addition to all the other options will be helpful, at least for those who are having a hard time getting through. The health district is also in the process of hiring some people to assist the towns that are in the regional health district in getting appointments. So if you're having a hard time getting an appointment, you can call the health district, and they will, help walk you through some of the options that are out there and assist people over the phone with getting an appointment. I do know that I've had some friends who have said that they go online and they can schedule one in August. That's the earliest they have online, and there's kind of some tricks and some ways to get it a lot sooner if you know where to look. So.
Robert, just a quick question about that. One of the requirements, I turned myself off. One of the requirements is that people registering need to have an email address. What happens to the folks that don't have email? I'm sure there's people out there that don't have that. Are there other options for them to be able to register somewhere without having an email address?
Yes, there's ways to do that, and that's where where they can be assisted by either the staff at the Plainville Southington Health District, or
Okay.
And we may be able to help them out if
Okay.
they're one of the people who get through for the vaccine clinic. And
But we can direct them to whomever, wherever they need to go, if that's the case.
yes,
Okay, thanks.
sometimes we can assist them in getting an email address if that's necessary as well, or or somehow.
Sure.
But yes, there's ways to accomplish that.
Okay. Well, thank you for arranging this. It certainly is a help for those that are trying to get this task done. It's frustrating and difficult and hard, but I think Plainville is doing the right thing by establishing a clinic for our residents, and if perhaps more need to happen, we'll see what we could do down the road. So thank you for organizing that.
The next item I have is the dashboard. Since we're in the middle of the budget season, I know the town council has been going through, the current year, and as well as, making plans for next year. This has been posted on the town website. We'll tell you that our expenditures are a little bit under the 2-year average. That includes, pretty much general government's online. Board of Ed is a little bit under their 2-year average as well. All other items are looking good. On the revenue side, I know we were behind a little bit on revenues earlier. We said they would catch up. We thought they would catch up, and they actually did. All revenue we received almost 89% of our budgeted revenues for the current fiscal year. Two-year average is 88.27, so we're a little bit ahead of the two-year average. And on our current taxes, we are just slightly under the two-year average at 98.43% of what we projected in current taxes has been received. So we feel positive. We feel good about that as well. As far as our special funds, no major changes to those. We're still waiting on an FAA grant to come back to the Robertson Airport on the revenue side, so that will replenish some of those dollars. On the major projects report, we've only had some work done on the phosphorus removal project. We're still under budget on that project as well, which is winding down. So that's all I have for the dashboard. And what I'd like to do is turn it over to Matt Daskell for some happenings, and then we both be available for any questions you may have for us on either any of these items or any other items that you feel you'd like to ask us. So.
Good evening, through you, Manager Lee and Councilwoman Puglisi. I've got several happenings for this evening. The first is the Plainville Family Resource Network is excited to offer that it is one of 12 quote-unquote hubs in Connecticut to support family child care providers and the Connecticut Office of Early Childhood. They are offering training and a licensing toolkit on coaching throughout the process of becoming a home child care provider. For more information, please contact the office at 860-793-6304. We also have several senior center happenings for this month, including planting your vegetable garden on March 16th from 3 to 4 p.m., virtual memory screenings. The Super Soup live cooking class this month is matzo ball soup on Zoom, March 24th, and they also have some other programming. I'd be happy to answer any questions folks have.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Robert, for your reports. Does anybody have any questions or comments for either Matt or Robert regarding their information they gave us tonight? Okay, well done, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on. We are now at the public comment section of our meeting. During this time, we welcome the public to come to the podium. There's a microphone in the middle of the aisle there. You'll have one opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. Does anybody wish to speak to the council? Anybody wish to speak to the council? Joanne?
Looks like I'm it again. Oh, well. Joanne Edmond, 166 West Main Street. Oh. Joanne Edmond, 166 West Main Street. The first thing I want to say tonight is how sorry, how deeply sorry I am, and all of you must be, with the passing of a great officer and good friend. It's unbelievable what happened. And I'm full of sympathy for the family. It's very, very sad. With that, I'm just going to take a minute to compose myself. I'm here tonight also to ask a couple of questions. First of all, I don't know if you can answer them or not, but I'm going to ask them anyway. Where do we stand with the sale of the White Oak building? The last I heard that it was that we were in negotiations. Has anything been decided?
No, Joanne, it is still in discussion. Nothing has been decided.
Still under discussion.
Still being discussed.
Well, I do want to say that I'm very worried if they want to put, whoever buys that building, I've heard that they want to put up 3 big apartment buildings in the back of the firehouse. And just take a look at the traffic that we have now going through Plainville. And I must say that it's going to really turn this town into gridlock. with any more apartment houses. We're turning this town into a metropolis. I mean, it was meant to be a quaint, quiet, antique little town, and now it's what? It's bustling, but not with business. And I don't know, I guess you just don't have enough parking or something. Something's wrong somewhere. Anyway, the second question I have is, where do we stand with the trail? Are you going to go along with alignment C, or are you going to choose another walkthrough? For instance, hopefully Route 10. Has any
All I
decision
can
been
say to
made
you,
about
Joanne,
that?
is that the final version has not been completed. DOT planners are working on the plan, and that's where we are. It's being worked on.
Well, will you tell us? Will it be public knowledge?
Of course, of course.
When I mean, I had heard that the town council was going to make a decision on whether or not they wanted alignment C. Or when are we at that point?
As I said, there's plans being worked on and developed, and before any major final decision's been made,
Okay.
there will be a public forum where the public will be invited to take a look at it.
Yeah, and Kathy, do you know when that will be?
I do not, Joanne, I do not.
There's no.
No.
Any big meetings regarding this, like we had, a couple of years ago, we
No.
opened up the middle school, and it was like jammed with people from out of town. The out-of-towners all arrived.
Right. We will have a meeting, and there will be public, we will distribute information about it, but that has
hope
not
it's only
happened, and we don't have that on plan yet, so, no.
I would hope that it's only kept to the people in Plainville, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But it really was distressing to hear out-of-towners come to this town and tell us how we must spend our money, because after that trail is put in, we are going to be responsible for maintenance, repair, and police patrol, and probably liability? I don't know. Attorney Mastriani, who is
Joanne,
tonight.
No, we're not going to do that right now.
Okay, all right.
But your time has expired. If you can please wrap up, that would be welcome.
Okay, that's it. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you. Okay, there does not appear to be anybody else from the public this evening that would be speaking, so I will close the public comment section and move on to new business. We have a number of items this evening we have to take care of, so I will ask for a motion for item number 1, please.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
the additional motion that was added, I'm going to make number 1. So motion to authorize the town attorney to enter into an agreement with the principal of Big Steve's Grill in the town of Plainville to pursue a forgivable loan in the amount of $10,000.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
Motion to waive the bid process and award bid 2021-15B construction equipment and operator rental to Garrity Asphalt Reclaiming, Bloomfield, Connecticut, in the amount not to exceed $125,000.
Second that motion, Madam.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
Motion to award bid 2021-16E robotic survey equipment under state contract number 19 PSX 0190 to Superior Instrument, Milldale, Connecticut, in the amount of $21,573.81, and approve the purchase of the accessories for a total amount of $22,425.83.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next one.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
Motion to waive the bid process and award bid 2021-17, Police Department Data Storage to Storage Networks, Westford, Mass., in the amount of $52,940.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Carries. Next.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
motion to waive the bid process and award bid 2021-18, Town and Schools Data Storage to Storage Networks, Westford, Mass., in the amount of $47,875.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
motion to establish a public hearing. Did we decide on the date of this?
I don't think we have. So before we do the motion, should we pick a date and then we can fill it in?
Yeah, I would point out that April 5th, which is a Monday, is a town council meeting night. I don't suspect that there's going to be an overwhelming amount of people who are going to participate in the public hearing on the town budget.
Okay.
So I would suggest that that might be a favorable date for the town council to consider.
Okay. Does everybody agree with that? That we could do it on that council meeting night on the 5th?
Absolutely.
Fine.
Okay,
Okay. So shall we put that in there?
sure. Motion to establish a public hearing on Monday, April 5th at 7 o'clock in the Municipal Center to hear public comment on the town council's fiscal year 2022 proposed budget.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next.
Madam Chair, motion
Yes.
to set the location of the annual town meeting for the purpose of voting on the town council's fiscal year 2022 proposed budget at the Plainville Firehouse Tuesday, April 27th, 2021, for the hours of 6 a.m. to 8 o'clock p.m.
Okay. I have a second? Okay. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next.
Motion to approve the tax refunds is listed on the addendum.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That takes care of all of our new business items for the moment. Next item that we have on our agenda is other discussions of interest, and one item is finalized fiscal year 2022 budget recommendation and possible action. If we can talk about this, we just got some more information from Robert Lee this evening regarding where we are at this point in time with all the activity that the council has worked on over the past week and where we're going to end up. We also have a meeting for budget scheduled for tomorrow at 6:30. I will just say I would like to do this tomorrow because we just got the information. I'd just like to read it some more and digest it and come up with maybe some thoughts on it. But certainly I open it up to everybody else as to what your preferences are. So
I'm in favor of tomorrow also.
tomorrow,
I'm in agreement with tomorrow as well.
yes?
Tomorrow works for me. I think I'll be
Okay.
able to have a much more productive discussion tomorrow.
Very good.
It's fine. I'm flexible.
Yes? Robert, you're all set. You can be available. We have it scheduled for tomorrow, so you're
Yes,
okay with
it's on
that
my-
as well?
It's on my calendar.
Okay. All
I
right.
erased it from my calendar.
It's on all of ours. All right, so I do appreciate that. I think tomorrow would be a good time to look at this additional, or before tomorrow, look at the additional information we received and go in there and see what we can do about that. So thank you so much for that. Next item we have is we have an executive session for a personnel matter. So may I have a motion to enter executive session?
Madam Chair,
ahead.
motion to enter into an executive session for a personnel matter.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I don't believe we'll be coming out to take any action, so that would probably conclude our regular business for this evening. Thank you very much, everybody.